there's a reason why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen.
The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.
Usually when we have our friends come up to be interviewed, Straight Nate will go down and have a conversation with them to find out what they're all about, what's going on today, what's on their mind today. Nate went down and talked to Tommy and didn't come back with one thing.
Oh, no. I got to tell you, Elvis, he's so interesting. I was wrapped up in the conversation. He was talking about interviewing people and, talking about Robert De Niro, for instance.
Yes.
Like the one time, I guess you could say that you were kind of like...
Yeah, it's Robert De Niro. Come on. So we were talking all about that.
Well, I know, but then you're supposed to come in and tell me.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a pre-interview, Tommy. I haven't even formally announced who's here. By the way, Danielle is here, but she's in Seattle.
Hey, Danielle.
How
Hi.
are you?
Good to see you.
And Froggy's in Jacksonville, but he's not in the studio. This place is just the wheels are falling off.
It's falling apart over here.
So, did you learn anything I would make our interview? What makes it sound like I know what I'm talking about?
I suggested Tommy interview you.
No.
He wants me to turn the tables,
Okay,
get all the dirt on you.
Oh, God, that would take all day. So
Wait, I have 2 questions right off the bat.
Go right ahead.
Who's your favorite to interview and who is the worst? Come on, let's tell.
Oh, my God, my favorite. That is so hard. I was just telling Nate, I actually am such a geek for movies that I got to interview Christopher Nolan, the director. And listen, I've interviewed the biggest stars in the world, J-Lo, Ryan Reynolds, Mark Ruffalo, the list goes on and on. But for me, as a movie lover, Christopher Nolan was amazing. So I'm going to go with him.
Okay.
And don't hate me for this, but I got to tell you, I haven't had a bad interview. I really haven't. No one's been rude.
Hang out with us.
Yeah, we got a list for
Listen,
you.
no one's been rude. No one's been mean. I mean, everybody when I interviewed De Niro was like, hey, just so you know, he's very tough. He doesn't give you much. We had a great conversation. I'm an Italian from Jersey. We bonded right away. So,
all right.
I've been lucky. No one bad yet.
Well, the day is young. So Tommy DiDario has a new podcast called I've Never Said This Before. It's out now, and it's part of the Elvis Duran podcast family. Is there a name? Network. Is it a network? Is it? Do we have a name for it yet? Do we?
You
know?
tell me.
I don't know. We're David. What's the name of our thing?
Of our thing.
Anyway, so we have internal friends who have podcasts. We have the Serial Killers, which is do you know about that podcast?
Yeah.
Podcast. Then we have Brooklyn Boys. We have a lot of stuff. But Tommy, you're our first new member of the family.
I feel very honored.
Well, we're honored to have you, especially if someone of your caliber. Because Tommy, as he said, he has interviewed everyone, Danielle.
Yeah.
And you've seen him on Extra TV and Good Day New York, and you were with Rachel Ray a long time.
5 years, yeah.
Yeah. And so what is it about interviewing? Why is this something that you're so passionate about?
Oh, man, I'm fascinated with people. I years ago was into acting and was pursuing acting and thought that's what I wanted to do because I just love human beings. I love connection. I love knowing where you're from, what you do, why you do it, what's going on inside that brain of yours, Elvis. I want to know everything. And I also am a huge fan of the arts, movies, music, TV, anything you name it. I love it in the arts. So I wanted to combine my love for the business and the industry and talk to people to show the world, the work that they love and talk about it in an interesting way. I'm not interviewing people to be salacious. That's not my style. I respect everyone's style. I don't care who you're sleeping with. I don't care what you did last night with your friends. I want to know about the work you do and what you're doing to help and inspire other people in this world to feel better about their own lives. So that's my style.
That's a very good point. I'll tell you why. When we've had interviews with big celebrities, they have passionate fans.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear us being salacious with them. They already know the rumors about who they're sleeping with or how they got the job or whatever. They want to hear us being respectful. And you know what? And there are so many times where artists, representatives would call up and say, okay, we're going to be there tomorrow with J-Lo, whatever. But here's a list of things we don't want you to talk about. They don't give us that list because they know we would never go there.
Right.
Until now.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
But I think he's right. That's so important because you want these artists and these celebrities to come back and feel comfortable and feel like maybe they have a home with you. Like Rihanna is an example for us because sometimes Rihanna will not do anyone else except for Elvis, and she'll say, I will only do Elvis because she knows he is going to respect her.
Wow. I believe that. And I have a quick story about J-Lo, actually. We were on the carpet, and it was all the different outlets, and everybody wanted a soundbite about Ben Affleck, right? And I also have a job to do. I work at Extra. They want their sound bites. But I said, how am I going to bring up Ben in a way that's not insulting? They just started dating again. We were there to promote her documentary. So I listened to the other outlets on either side of me asking a question about Ben. She shut it down. Didn't like it. Was not happy. Her publicist was pissed.
Right.
So it's my turn. Talk about the documentary, do another little inspiring soundbite. And I said, okay, how am I going to get this? How am I going to get this? And I said, Jennifer, you and I have something in common. And her publicist leans in. And I said, you and I both love love. And you recently said in an interview, you're so excited to have a second chance at true love. What are you most looking forward to? I didn't say his name once, didn't need to. And she smiled and she said, you know what, Tommy? I'm just excited to be present this time around. I want to be present. Guess what? Extras headline, Jen opens up about Ben on the carpet. I didn't even have to bring up his name. So that's kind of the work I try to do. Thank you. Wow. Oh, I like hanging out around here.
So now you know. Now you know the sleazy, slimy way I get them to answer the questions. It's the same way. I mean, because you know that I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable ever, because it makes me uncomfortable. It's really a selfish thing, to be honest. But to be able to bring up something that, okay, let me back up. I'm going to go back to something you said. When you do an interview for, let's say, Entertainment Tonight, ET, or Extra, or whatever, they do give you a hot list of things they want you to get out of them, because they do want those headlines on these shows. And I don't know if you read my book or not, but I actually talked about when I had to interview Justin Bieber at my apartment. We had all the Entertainment Tonight, all the ET cameras were in my apartment. They just made a mess of the thing. In walks Justin, and they give me a list of things they want me to ask that I would never ask on my own. But I had to. And I could tell it was a mistake. And I promised myself at that point I would never, ever put myself in a position as an interviewer to ask someone else's questions unless I like them.
Yeah.
And so I never worked for them ever again. I love them. They were always nice to me. But that's the secret of being a great interviewer, is just be friendly, be nice. It's kind of shallow in a way, but it's perfect.
Well, and listen. I can't tell you how many times I see people on these carpets or in junkets, and they're talking. It's like, no. Your job is to facilitate the conversation. Shut your mouth and listen, right? There's a famous quote, there's a reason why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen. And we don't do that enough in this world, right? So I think that's what makes a good interviewer.
I'm sorry, did you say something? Tommy Daddario is here. If you're wondering what's going on, his new podcast is I've Never Said This Before. Now, here's what's great about this. This is you. This is your podcast. You have no one feeding you questions because they need to use it elsewhere on sound bites around the world. So what is it you find most exciting other than you're in total control of the conversation? What is it you love about doing this?
I love that it's not a soundbite conversation, right? In a lot of the interviews I do, you get 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You have a publicist breathing down your neck. You have cameras everywhere. I mean, it's such a high-pressure, high-stress situation that half the time your guests are just not fully relaxed. Here, we're sitting on each other's couches, we're looking at each other on Zoom, and we get half an hour, 40 minutes to just talk about the projects that made them so incredibly famous, to deep dive into them in ways they've never talked about before, and then to pivot into real human connection type of conversation, lessons learned along the way, advice to younger self. I had Hunter Duhan on as my first guest. He stars in Wednesday on Netflix. He's the male lead. We talked about being gay in this industry. We talked about how he struggles with his body image. That's something he's never said before. You will look at this kid and say, oh my God, he has a perfect life. He's beautiful. He's in shape. He has no problems. He's talking about how he can't stand how he views his body. I mean, so we get into real conversations as well as talking about the projects that the fans love. And I love that we can have that dichotomy and have breathing room to do that.
It's funny you mentioned about the breathing room, because this show where I'm doing right now, look on the wall. We have, how many timers do I have timing me down?
All over, man.
We have network buttons we have to push. We have, it's mind-boggling to have to do this with timers timing down. But at the same time, I know that I can go do a podcast interview down the hall. I can go an hour and a half.
Yeah.
If they can put up with me that long.
Yeah.
So who do you have in the can, as they say, so far for I've Never Said This Before?
I'll give you 2. I'm only going to give you 2 because you got to subscribe and listen to find that out.
Whoa, look at you.
You like that.
Oh,
you like that.
damn.
Wow. There we go.
Wow.
Don't be deceived by the smile, baby. I'm
Ouch.
sassy too. Jersey Italian. We got Grey's Anatomy is one of the hottest shows, right? It's been on for now going on 20 years, I think. So Camilla Luddington is a star of the show. She's been on for going on 12 years. Wonderful, wonderful human. I just had her on. That episode's coming out in 2 weeks, which should be really, really fun. And do I want to give you one more?
You said two, so therefore,
yes.
All right. And one more. Let me think. Who am I going to give you? We also have. I'm going to give you. Kat McNamara. She's a friend of mine. She was on Shadowhunter. She's on a CW, big CW star. She's an incredible, incredible person as well. We hear about her story. You know her? You gave me a look.
No, because the CW has a lot of new shows coming out.
Yes. They've revamped their whole, lineup, and she is a working actress for her whole life. She was on Broadway. Really interesting story. She's also coming up, and I'll tease one more. There's a new show coming out. Have you guys heard of, not new show, it's season 2, Heartstopper?
No. What's that?
You don't know what Heartstopper? I see someone in the back knows it. Hey, Heartstopper is a love story between two guys, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful show that highlights the community in a way that I've never seen before growing up. I'm a millennial. I had Will and Grace, which was great, and I loved it. But this is like a beautiful, beautiful love story. I highly suggest watching it. Season 2 is coming out. The leads of this show, Kit Connor and Joe Locke, are megastars. Their fandom is insane. They have like millions and millions and millions of followers each. I think I'm going to get them both together for an episode, which will be really fun.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Wait, do you get like one fact about each person you interview that no one has known before? Isn't that your thing?
Yeah. So at every single interview, I ask my guests, what is one thing you've never said before? And to be honest, throughout the interview, there's multiple things they've never said before, which is pretty cool. But at the end, they really open up in either a surprising and deep way or plain silly way. And it's a really fun moment with my guests, and I like that they feel comfortable to do that. So Elvis,
I'm thinking what I'm going to ask Tommy.
What is one thing you have never said before?
Oh.
Easy. May I borrow a tampon?
I can't help you with that. I got nothing.
It's plain and simple. I've never had the need to ask that question.
Not even for a nosebleed? I heard they're good for that.
Wow, that's a good idea. Yeah. God, Tommy, I don't know. We all have to get to know each other a little better. I'm going to start asking you some very, very, very pointed questions.
Bring it on.
What is something you've never said to anyone?
Oh, never said to anyone. I'll give you one thing. This is kind of surprising. I would totally be somebody that would have a full sleeve tattoo if I could. If I had the courage and bravery to do that. I have no tattoos. I would be tatted up like crazy.
So what is keeping us from tattoos? Because I'm the same way. I just can't commit. But I want one.
I want one. In fact, when I met my husband, Gio, I had an appointment for to get a tattoo. I put my deposit down, and the tattoo was so bad. I'm so embarrassed to even say what it was. I don't think I can admit it. You want to know?
I think we need to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Gio told me it sounds like a dictator, but I wanted to put those who create the stories rule the world across my back. How Italian Guido is that? I mean, come on. Right?
Put on your lower back.
I mean, no, it was going to be shoulder to shoulder. And he's like, what are you, a dictator? And I'm like, oh, I thought it was cool. It's a Native American proverb. And
No, don't be shy away from
that.
Well,
he discouraged me. I know he's listening now, so maybe you can tell him to let me get a tattoo. Where is he right now?
Is he in Miami?
Miami for a conference.
Listen to Y100. Hi, Gio.
So anyway, if I had the courage, I would
read
be
that again.
up.
No, tell me that again.
Those who create the stories rule the world.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. Maybe
Well,
you can get that as a barbed wire around your arm.
Oh, trust me, I went through that phase too. I wanted the barbed wire. I wanted 5 barbed wires around my arm. So I've been through all the phases. So I'm not saying never. I might still get a tattoo, but I really would be tatted up if I had the courage.
You know what's so interesting about this conversation with you, Tommy, is you are definitely on this path of interview greatness. I can because you're already great at interviews and you're so comfortable interviewing people. I see it all the time. But you kind of wonder as interviewers, and Danielle, you're in the same boat, how we evolve through the years.
Yeah.
You see the greats, and a lot of people listening may not have ever seen Larry King do an interview, and he's long gone. Larry King's claim to fame was he only walked into an interview with one question. That's it. And all he would do is ask that one question. He would get an answer, and his next question would be based on the answer he got, which goes back to your let's listen more kind of theory. And he turned out to be one of the greatest interviewers of all time. In my opinion, Howard Stern is one of the best interviews. And a lot of people remember Howard from way back when he did Bongo and this and that. He's different. His interview style now is from a place I've never heard from him before. He's just the best interviewer ever. Do you have any interviewers that you truly love to listen to, and not emulate, but be inspired by?
Well, it's really funny you brought up Howard Stern because I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately. He just interviewed Sarah Jessica Parker, and I thought it was fantastic. I think 10 years ago, she probably never would have done his show, maybe 15 years ago, but he's such an evolved interviewer now. And to me, I agree with you. I think he is the best of the best. Top of my list is him. But I also, growing up, I would, of course, watch the Barbara Walters and Diane Sawyer and watch them and really be captivated by their interviewing style because I felt like they really listened. It wasn't just about clickbait, right?
Right.
And I love late night television too. I love them all. I mean, Fallon to me is so much fun. I love watching his show. I think he's kind of starting to tap into what I've been tapping into, which is bringing on these stars from Netflix shows and CW shows and movies that are super famous and have massive fandom, tens of millions of followers, but like an extra or ET wouldn't cover them because they're not the J-Los. But their fandom, I would argue, is more hungry than some of those stars' fandoms, right? Like I shared a post. I had a guy saying Han Lee on my show. He's in a show called Exo Kitty on Netflix, and I shared my Instagram post with him. Elvis, you can collaborate on Instagram, right?
I do know this. Hello, wasn't born yesterday.
All right, just making sure. And I did that, and the post has 1.1 million views.
See, there you go.
You know what I mean? So I
Wow.
bring these people on that have these massive fandoms, and I forget why I'm talking about this, but it's to me interesting because you don't get to see them on primetime television.
Well, and that brings up a good point, Tommy, is what I grew up being a student of and then being a member of the community, and Danielle as well, was what's called mass media.
Right.
Mass media was because you only had 4 networks on TV. You only had a few channels to watch. You had a couple of newspapers and magazines. That was mass media. You could go on one TV show and reach hundreds of millions of people.
Yeah.
It's not that way anymore because it's all splintered down. You have all these shows that have artists and stars that have 10, 20 million deep in their fan base. No one's ever heard of these people. But that's the way it is now.
Yeah.
So you're doing the right thing. You're up to date. What is this? 2023?
2023.
I think you're in. You're in the right year.
All right.
Me, I'm living in the past. And it's okay. Look, it's all about interviews. If you want to hear some of the best ever from a whole different, fresh point of view, and then also the people being interviewed from a fresh point of view, Tommy's podcast called I've Never Said This Before is out now wherever you get your podcasts. We prefer you get them from iHeart, but we're not stupid.
Right.
We know you get podcasts everywhere, but 10 extra points if you do it from iHeart. Tommy DiDario, thank you for coming on. Congratulations on the new podcast.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. I love you guys. Honored to be part of the iHeart fam.
Nice.
We are. We're a family. Oh my God.
Dysfunctional, but a family.
Extremely dysfunctional. All right, we got to take a break. We've got more on the way. What do we have on the way?
John Roberts.
Okay, John Roberts from Bob's Burgers. He's got a new song out. He's here. It's a great day. We'll be back right after this.
The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.